Look, let's just dive right into the deep end here. A single compliance failure, it can literally cost a company millions in OSHA violations, not to mention the operational downtime and the massive reputational damage that comes with it. And that, right there, is exactly why top-tier EHS management is prized so highly in today's corporate world. Speaking as a senior EHS manager myself, I can tell you firsthand, companies aren't looking for someone to just hand out hard hats anymore. No way. They want strategic leaders, people who can actively protect the workforce and the bottom line. It's a seriously high-stakes environment, and your credentials? Well, they're the immediate trust signal that proves you've got what it takes to mitigate those massive risks.
And the financial reality of holding that trust signal is pretty striking. If we look at recent data from the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, the BCSP, we see this massive income gap reality. CSP holders are pulling in significantly more, averaging a $30,000 premium over their uncertified peers. I mean, 30 grand. That is a life-changing delta in compensation. But the real question we've got to answer today is this. Is the CSP actually worth it for you right now, especially when compared to the ASP? If you're a safety officer or a frontline supervisor aiming to move up, you really need to know exactly which credential is going to maximize your professional development and your earning potential.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to quickly cover eligibility requirements, exam difficulty, the exact salary ROI, and costs. Let's start with the foundation.
All right, looking at the foundational eligibility requirements, you immediately see the difference in prestige and expectations. The Associate Safety Professional, the ASP, requires just 1 year of safety experience, assuming safety makes up at least half your role, plus an associate's degree in a safety field or a bachelor's in any field. So it's a pretty accessible entry point, right? But the Certified Safety Professional, the CSP, that demands 4 solid years of professional safety experience and a bachelor's degree. The CSP is basically demanding you prove you've actually spent years in the trenches, actively managing risk.
Now here's something absolutely crucial you need to understand, the qualified credential rule. The BCSP doesn't just let anyone sit for the CSP. There's no fast-tracking it. This rule dictates that earning your ASP or an equivalent like the Graduate Safety Practitioner, the GSP, is actually a mandatory stepping stone before you can even hit apply for the CSP. You literally cannot just jump to the top of the ladder. You have to prove that technical foundation first, which really makes the ASP more than just a terminal cert for mid-level folks. It's your essential gateway to senior leadership.
Moving on to the exam deep dive, the difference in what you're actually tested on is night and day. The ASCP exam is this grueling, 5-hour, 200-question marathon that is incredibly technical, it's super math-heavy, you're deep into hazard control, calculating flow rates, noise exposure, rigging, all of that. The CSP exam, on the other hand, is 175 questions over 5.5 hours, and it essentially steps back from the calculator. Instead, it tests your strategic leadership, corporate compliance, and high-level risk management. It's basically asking, can you build the systems that prevent these hazards in the first place? And honestly, the blueprint breakdown brilliantly illustrates this shift in focus. Looking at the domains for the current blueprint versions, known as CSP 11, a whopping 50% of the exam is weighted purely on advanced application and program management. They're testing you on implementing prevention through design and leading actual organizational change. Meanwhile, the ASP 11 stays locked in on the granular science of things like safety programs and fire prevention. Think of it this way. The ASP proves you know the rules, but the CSP, it proves you know how to govern the entire safety culture.
So passing the ASP gives you the foundational knowledge you need to survive in the field. But achieving the CSP, that proves you have the strategic chops to mitigate massive liabilities at a totally organizational level. Industry expert Grandi Zadorian actually hit the nail on the head when she called the CSP credential the gold standard in certifications for safety professionals. It literally transforms you from a technical specialist into a vital business partner, someone who protects a company's most valuable assets, its people, and its financial stability. But hey, before we dive into the massive revenue and salary impacts, you've got to keep a critical update in mind. The 2025 and 2026 testing windows are bringing major blueprint changes to both exams. We're talking about integrating emerging tech, advanced risk transfer models, and ESG, environmental, social, and governance criteria. So if you're a B2B decision maker or an aspiring director, your prep strategy has to adapt right now to meet these new modern standards. Stick around because the financial payoff for mastering these new blueprints is absolutely staggering.
Okay, let's talk ROI, because this is where all that hard work translates into tangible financial reward. CSP certified professionals see some massive salary multipliers. We're talking median base salaries easily blowing past the $100,000 mark compared to their uncertified peers. In fact, safety pros holding advanced certifications like the CSP or the CIH, the Certified Industrial Hygienist credential, they frequently report earnings pushing up into the $125,000 range, or even higher. It is, without a doubt, one of the highest returning investments you can make in your own professional development.
And securing this certification unlocks immediate international opportunities too. It gives you the leverage to step right into high-paying, director-level roles. We're talking EHS director, corporate EHS manager, or senior risk consultant. In these positions, you aren't just out there enforcing rules. You're building the actual compliance systems, integrating cutting-edge safety software, and driving the strategic vision that keeps a multinational corporation both legally compliant and operationally efficient. Let's look at corporate demand to see how this actually builds your market value. Top-tier Fortune 500 companies, industry absolute giants like Amazon, ExxonMobil, and Lockheed Martin, they actively require the CSP for their B2B decision-makers and EHS managers. Why? Because they need proven leaders who can navigate wildly complex regulations, implement enterprise-wide safety software, and drive corporate compliance from the top down. Having those 3 letters after your name automatically gets your resume past those automated HR filters and directly onto the hiring manager's desk.
Of course, we do have to talk about the financial commitment. Breaking down the costs, you're looking at $160 to apply and $350 for the exam, whether it's the ASP or the CSP. Then there's an annual renewal hovering right around $170 to $180. Honestly, these fees are basically a drop in the bucket when you weigh them against a $30,000 annual bump in your career trajectory and the operational benefits they provide. The BCSP purposely structured this to be accessible for professionals who are genuinely serious about their careers.
You also have to factor in long-term maintenance, though. Both the ASP and CSP operate on a strict 5-year recertification cycle. You're required to earn 25 recertification points, which means continuous learning, earning CEUs, going to conferences, and completing coursework. And crucially, this now includes mandatory ethics courses to make sure your professional development stays sharp and fully aligned with modern corporate compliance standards. It's their way of ensuring a CSP holder in 2026 is just as current and capable as someone who passed the exam yesterday.
So what's the final verdict here? Well, it's pretty clear. The ASP is your necessary, highly rigorous technical foundation. It proves you understand the math, the science, and those immediate field hazards. But the CSP, that is the ultimate trust signal. It's the certification that drives massive financial impacts, proves you can handle organizational risk, and solidifies your absolute authority in EHS management. If you really want to maximize your career, the CSP has to be your definitive target. Now, I really want to hear from you. Drop a comment below, let me know, are you currently grinding away, studying for the ASP to build that technical foundation, or are you gearing up to conquer the CSP and take on that director-level role? What does your timeline look like, especially with those upcoming blueprint changes? To protect your workforce, mitigate corporate risk, and truly skyrocket your career, you have to have the right information. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to HSE Study for more high-impact safety insights. Keep investing in your professional development, stay safe out there, and ask yourself, when the safety industry evolves tomorrow, will your credentials be ready to lead it? I'll catch you in the next explainer.